Good evening. Welcome back, folks, to another video of From the Deck. And today, Saturday, we are going to talk about the Banlist expectations that I have, and also what is the ideal Banlist, or should I say, what the Banlist is going to look for this upcoming December. Now, before we start, I want to thank everyone for joining me on these videos. And I want to please ask you if you can leave a like and a comment about what else do you want to watch in the future, and also subscribe if you aren't subscribed yet. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our first part of the video, which is the band section. We're going to kick things off with obviously our band section, and we're going to start with what is probably going to happen in order to keep these combo decks alive and still playable. So the first one that we want to talk about is this one, the Martial Metal Merger. Our good old boy has been reprinted in Maximum Gold, but that hasn't stopped Konami from banning before. As you remember, on Battles of Legend, the last one, they reprinted the Mecha Phantom Beast monster, and it got banned on the immediate following ban list. So I have no doubt that something of the combo is going to get banned. Now, obviously, it's not going to be Halqifibrax, and we are going to talk later about Linkros, but let's just say that this is probably the third best place to hit the combo on the Martial Metal Merger, and limiting it will not do anything basically, so a straight up ban for this card basically. But in case they don't do that, we have another option here, which would be the Plague Spreader Zombie. Now, I don't know if every combo still plays Plague Spreader Zombie, but it follows the same trend of special summoning tuners just because they're tuners and they're free, that we have seen in multiple formats in the past after Halqifibrax release. So this could also be another hit and another tuner on the ban list thanks to Halqifibrax. Now, what I'm thinking about the Linkros is that Linkros is not going to get banned, of course. Now, think it about this way: Linkros was from a main set or a core set, and Halqifibrax was from a side set, Eternity Code and Dual Overload, respectively. So, if we think about sales only, Linkros is the one that should be banned in this case because Eternity Code has a lot of stuff to be sold on. For example, they still have Access Code Talker, and they have another cards in there that are high price cards, of course. If you watch market watches, basically, you can see how this trend follows. But Halqifibrax is from a side set that doesn't have that power because most of the set is filler. Yeah, there's impermanence and a reprint from Phantasma and everything, but most of the set is real just filler, and it was the price card of the set basically. So between these two, Halqifibrax and Linkros, if Konami were to touch for complete this deck and to shut it down, Linkros is the obvious one because they will still continue to sell Eternity Code. Opposite, if they banned Halqifibrax, they would not continue to sell as much Dual Overload as possible. So for that reason, Linkros is on here. Finally, just to talk about one more card, just to keep everything in check, is the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. There is a debate between this one and Union Carrier because Union Carrier can keep anything basically. Even the Infinite Negate combo uses Union Carrier, but I think the most common one that would be hit is this one, because again it's Dual Overload, so Dual Overload is a side set, and this thing is for Bosch. So between those two, I think they would prefer to hit the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword instead of hitting the Union Carrier. And for that reason, if they are going to hit anything on the Dragon Combo link, is this thing. Now we are going to go just right ahead and see how we are going to manage our limited cards. Now we're going to start this limited section by talking about Miragestallio. Now, Salamangreat Miragestallio is not a card that should be banned anymore. Why? Because it is a special summon from the deck, obviously. But have you read Halqifibrax? It is a special summon from the deck. Most of the cards right now are special summoning from the deck, and they don't lock you into anything except probably Scarlet Sanguine that locks you into zombies probably. But besides from that, all of the other cards that special summon from the deck doesn't limit you to anything, and this thing locks you into fire. So why is every card still free when Sarah McGray cannot play Miragestallio because they summon from the deck? Actually, this thing locks you and basically prohibits you from playing anything else. So, on my opinion, this thing can come back to 1 at least. It should be free, but it can come back to 1 and it will make no difference for its state. And following up that, we're going to talk the man, the mid, the lane itself, Crystal Halqifibrax. Obviously, they're not going to ban it. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh card for the Yu-Gi-Oh day, basically. But let's say that the Banlist was ideal. This is the right hit. Now, banning it is too powerful, of course, because this thing right here, special summons from the deck for free and everyone can summon it and abuse it. Okay, alright. But the real problem is when there are multiples. Now, the people with extravagance and there are people that summon 2 Halqifibrax in one duel, and etc and etc. So just limiting it would be fine. Aside from the Linkros hit, it would be amazing and it will reduce the possibilities of playing the Halqifibrax combo a lot more. So this would be probably ideal. I don't know how everyone feels about this. They're going to probably ignore just this, but remember, it's just an ideal situation. This isn't what is going to happen on real life. We are just speculating here. Next up, have you read the Misk? Now, Misk is a really important card because it's the motor piece to all of the Dino engine. Sure, Oviraptor and sure the Archosaur and etc etc. But this thing is the one that makes everything. It prevents them from activated effects and also can special summon a Dino because of course it can. It's obviously a Halqifibrax again. So, in my opinion, this thing should come back to 1 from where it was before. Remember, it was already limited. And Dino will be still powerful because we have seen what Dino can do. But this wouldn't be here as a problem. Now, this is going to happen? No, obviously not. But this will be ideal and I hope Konami does something about Dino because I hate playing against Miscellaneosaurus Turbo. But following that up, we are going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the dragon itself, the very funny dragon. Now, Virtual World is new, basically. Virtual World is from the newest set, Phantom Rage. So they're not going to ban this thing right here, but they can limit it. If you've seen Gabriel Net's list, he plays 2 BFDs and can make both because of course he can make both. So limiting it to 1 will reduce the chance of it resolving because as I've talked on the Coalitions video that you should check out, we'll leave the link in the description, this thing can be negated, but 2 of those are really hard to negate. So limiting it to 1 would probably solve a little bit of the problem. Banning it will be effective, but just limiting it to 1 would be perfect and you can still sell Phantom Rage. Then if you sing House of Champs, it has been tanking, so they really need to push those sales on Phantom Rage, and Virtual World is probably the only thing that is going to sell that. And for that reason, they're not going to hit this thing, but if they will, they're going to limit it to 1. But following that up, we're going to talk about Elder Entity Emptiness. Dogmatica is a great engine, I'm not gonna lie, it's powerful, it's great, and it's very productive. They're not going to hit anything from there because it is very restricted to some cards. I mean, 3 Ecclesia, 1 Fleur de Lis, 1 Nexus probably, or whatever the big one is called, and the 3 Punishment probably, and another Servant. So those cards are going to be free, of course. So the next thing that they can hit are cards that can be a trouble when sent to the graveyard, and Elder Entity Emptiness is the biggest one. Because it's a pop for free. It doesn't matter if it's the one who activated the Mirage Servant sending it, or it is the one that is the opponent from the player who is playing Dogmatica. So Entes as a problem card can be limited to 1. No one will say anything because Entes is Entes, and it will give you 2 pops with punishment. So for that reason, in my opinion, Entes can go to 1 and no one will probably care. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of controversy here, change of heart to 1. They have to freeze something that is out of this head, basically, something that no one is thinking about, or a few people are thinking about, and this is probably the best card to do, because this card does absolutely nothing at 1. Yeah, you can still activate the monster's effect, and you can still do a lot of things with it, but change of card doesn't actively do anything because you have to draw the 1 off. And if you combine it with mind control, you have 2 off. And if you combine it with mind control, you have the 3 off, but again, those are 3 saggy cards that you can probably cite for going second, but nothing more than that. So, for that reason, change of heart to 1 is the best thing that they can do, and I for one cannot hope for more than this, because I'm a big fan of change of heart, and I hope Konami frees this one at least to 1. Following that up, we're going to talk about this one. We cannot go without talking about this one. If you have seen the ice barrier structure, that you will see that this thing is at the list. So, Vanity's Emptiness, can it come back? Probably yes. I mean, yes, it's a floodgate, and yes, you cannot summon, but now we have a lot of removal from different decks that take this thing out. And even if they don't take this thing out, you can take out one of monster, one back row, etc., and this thing dies immediately because it's sent to the graveyard. So combo players can probably take out the Buster, Destruction Sword, and put one of these, yes, but they have to draw it. Or make Curious, send this thing, make Refund, reset it. So that's going to take a lot of steps to search this one-off, which is a really powerful one-off, but it's a one-off nonetheless. So Vanity's Emptiness to 1 can probably come back just to sell some ice barrier stuff. It's a really annoying floodgate, but people can play around it or through it, so whatever. And that is going to be our limited section. Now we're going to move into our semi-limited section, and we're just going to glance a little bit over it because we don't have a lot to talk much about that section. Now for semi-limiteds, we have this one, Emergency Teleporter. How can we push the cell for Phantom Rage? Konami is thinking about. This is probably how. Mutants. They have Psychic Level 3 monsters. This is the first thing that they can do. Put this at 2 volts, probably sell some Phantom Rage, push a lot of sales on the search for mutants, and give Konami a little bit of money. But if you're not thinking about Phantom Rage and you're thinking on the future what this card can probably do, then you have to remember that the security archetype is coming up, and that has psychic monsters that can be summoned through this. If there is a card that can probably come to 2 just to push some sales for Konami, is this thing, and if it's not on this list, it's probably on the next one. So we have to face that this thing is going to do. As such, this is my only hit for 2 on the semi-limited list. Honestly, there's not much to talk about when going to 2, but we are now going to talk about the unbanned cards that I think they're going to come back free for the game for everyone to play at 3 for free. Now for the unlimited section, I'm not going to talk about Graph and Seer coming back to 3 because I don't want to go and buy a third Graph and a third Seer that have to be gold rares, because I'm a sucker for those. If anyone wants to send me some gold rare BAs, I'm up for. That's not going to happen, but if you can and if you want, send me for free some gold rare BA monsters because you hate those. You can feel free to send me those. But in anyways, I'm not going to talk about those. Instead, I'm going to talk about the other 2 cards that are going to go to 3 for the next list. This thing, Totally Awesome, which no one cares about what happens with Totally Awesome. I only think that 3 Brigade Melfi can do this thing, and even if they can, they have to play something like Wonder Exist because maybe something locks them into this. I don't know, I don't care really, and I prefer to leave just the Melfi monsters on the field than having to exist summon this thing with a trap card. So this can come back to 3, and as such, the next one, which is ABC Dragon Buster, which no one cares what happens with ABC. They care more about Oyama Lime Retrain basically than to the ABC Dragon Buster coming back to 3. I know probably 2 people who may find this interesting, but I don't have the energy to talk about this. So let's just say that those 2 are the ones that are probably going back to 3. and nothing is going to happen if they do. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you very much for showing up and for listening to an old man talking about change of heart. If you want to suggest what are your expectations and what do you want to see hit on the ban list, please feel free to share it on the comments. Leave a like and subscribe, and until the next time, we are going to see very soon.